Reading fortune, I just got the news. I can be a millionaire too. Check the OP, what did he do? Gas in his bag so they go to the moon. Spent half an eighth, I got 1,000,000 coins like the real McCoy. You know I feel that joy, cause if it goes to a buck, I won't believe my luck. And now 10 on my Lambos for me and my friends.
What's up, guys? Crypto Keith here at your service, bringing you all of the most interesting news for today. And what that includes, it's so important to understand some things that are going on right now, especially if you're in cryptocurrency. Not so much important, but it's exciting, it's interesting. These are some very interesting things that are going on. So right now, CoinMarketCap, all of the cryptocurrencies, most of them at least, are in the red. And by the way, I just got back from, I went out for lunch with someone to help them get familiar with how they can invest in cryptocurrency, and they are going to invest a few thousand. So it's not easy to explain all of this to somebody that's, you know, used to buying stocks and stuff like that, to understand all of it. It's really different for a lot of people and older people to understand this stuff, but they're coming around, and that's very good news. And at least they're interested, at least they want to get involved, and that makes me happy. Anytime I can help someone get involved, help someone become successful and have a more free, financially successful life and lifestyle, any day I'll help somebody I know move into the crypto space, and take time out of my day to do that, no problem. So the reason for all the reds in CoinMarketCap, well, you can even see here the total market cap is down. There was money taken out of cryptocurrencies. We are getting close to tax season. Companies, institutions are taking money out for taxes or taking their gains for the year. But so we lost, you know, almost $100 billion in the total market cap of all cryptocurrencies. But what we see is when this goes down, it usually goes back up. But there's another reason here. Supposedly, CoinMarketCap just took off their Korean exchange prices because it was always 20-30% higher. There's a premium for buying in Korea, and this was affecting the prices of all cryptocurrencies that were sold in Korea. So to make it a little bit more accurate, they took that exchange out because those exchanges were kind of the oddball out. All these other exchanges, if you can see here, it's 14,000, and then BitThumb 22,000. So this is really the oddball here. Some of these Korean exchanges. So another one here, 16,000 Bitflyer. See Japan dollars. So they took these ones out, and if you can see, they should state that here somewhere. See here, price excluded, this little star. So if you see a star beside it, see here we see all these triple stars. Oh wow, look at these are the high prices here. 26,000 at HippieTC, Poloniex 23,000, but these are pairs for other cryptocurrencies. And if you see that asterisk, here's one right here at BitThumb, 22,000 with an asterisk beside it. That's not included anymore. So this really affected the price, and it took a lot of money out of the market cap as well, because, you know, they were expecting everyone to be paying a little bit higher because this would affect the price. So as long as you know that, now you can go forward and understand a little bit more. You don't have to panic and sell because the prices are going down. So we have a couple of stories to share with you today, and if you like, I will share my screen with you. So here we go. These are the world's top 10 Bitcoin-friendly countries. So, Estonia, the United States, Denmark, Sweden, South Korea, the Netherlands, Finland, Canada. I'm in Canada. Why do you think I'm wearing the hat? It's freaking cold here. We just got a big snowstorm overnight. UK, Australia, and those are the top 10. Although United States is, you know, you can argue that one. We're also going to look into the world's biggest Bitcoin wallet is owned by the US government. What? So Bitcoin, an anonymous and unregulated digital currency, has become the poster child for the libertarian ideals of eliminating the Federal Reserve, avoiding inflation, and keeping currency separate from governments. As it turns out, however, the world's largest Bitcoin holder is the US government. And guys, I knew this was coming. When all these exchanges were getting hacked, I had a feeling it had something to do with the US government wanting to maintain their power, their control. Although this is just speculation, I have no evidence to prove this, but that the US government's pointing their fingers to North Korea, saying North Korea's hacking. Well, that would help their agenda either way. If we thought North Korea was hacking, their agenda of invading North Korea or starting a war with North Korea so that we can have total domination over the world. North Korea is really the oddball out for becoming a part of the United Nations and having, you know, the U.S. having their influence over them. Look, even over here, North Korea's failed missile crash. You know, it's always in the news. And if you think propaganda was destroyed years ago, that's a joke. It's only gotten worse. And I see it all the time. You know, whenever you see something that has to do with racism, the alt-right, all this stuff, you hear in fake news, all this stuff is, you know, a lot of it's propaganda to start controversy, to start chaos, basically. And with chaos, you can push your regulations on people better because you're trying to solve a problem. But that's a story for another day. We're not going to get too much into that, but so they're saying that it contains more than 144,000 Bitcoins, which is equivalent to roughly $86 million. While the owners of Bitcoin accounts are anonymous, the transactions are all public, and the descriptions of this account's transactions are all described as DPR seized coins. And so they could be seizing them from exchanges, but one way that we know they're getting these is seizing dark market websites. So there's tons of them. They're letting them keep running on the dark web, but they take one down here and there. And when they take them down, they seize all the Bitcoins with them. That basically it's an exchange. So imagine some of these exchanges and the government just seizing. It's not called stealing, it's called seizing. Pardon me. Seizing all the Bitcoins on some of these exchanges and just picking them off whenever they want. We just saw South Korea is working on or just passed a law so that they can shut down these exchanges in North Korea or South Korea whenever they want to, if they suspect that people are doing money laundering or terrorism activities on the exchanges. Well, this gives them an excuse to basically have control. If you think communism is gone, just look at, you know, people's wealth being seized by the government. Who owns the biggest Bitcoin wallet? The FBI. We even saw, you know, some FBI agents went to jail because they were stealing some of this Bitcoin, putting it into their own wallets. Here we have Bulgaria seizes enough Bitcoin to pay off 1/5 of the national debt. And did have an article around here somewhere. By the way, I'm going to do some ICO reviews. I had an article around here mentioning the US. Maybe I'll just search for it. I might have closed it. Mentioning the US and what they plan to do with their Bitcoins. Right here we see, though, Bulgaria plans to pay off their national debt with their Bitcoin that they've seized. So following an undercover bust from an underground crime network, Bulgaria has seized enough Bitcoin to settle a fifth of this national debt. So just one drug dealer, basically, they seized Bitcoin from one drug trafficker, and they got enough Bitcoin to pay off a fifth of their national debt. So imagine what the U.S. has from taking down platforms where these criminals hold their Bitcoin and exchange Bitcoin on. Now, a lot of these dark websites have stopped having internal wallets and allowing you to send directly from your wallet to peer-to-peer to another person, not within the exchange. And so these ones are the ones that people are starting to move towards because they're not as much of a target for the government to seize them. Really, at the end of the day, the government wants money. It's sad to say that, but it's what the world is all about these days, and hopefully cryptocurrency can change that. According to Zero Hedge, the Bulgarian Crime Enforcement Agency and Southeast European Law Enforcement Center caught 23 Bulgarian criminals and confiscated a total of 213,519 Bitcoins, roughly valued at $3.5 billion. So the SELC said the group included 5 Bulgarian customs officials, while others had ties to former Yugoslavian states. So some customs officials were in on this crime network. By the way, when you have to pay, claim currencies money when you're crossing borders, and things like that, well, a way people were getting big amounts of money across would be storing your wealth in Bitcoin. You can buy Bitcoin, transfer the border, go across the border, and then sell your Bitcoin on the other side and not have to pay fees. And now they're probably going to they're looking more into this and trying to find cryptocurrency that they can seize trying to cross the border. So the most intriguing part of this story is the incredible value of Bitcoin and why the Bulgarian governments plan to do it, what the Bulgarian governments plan to do with it. SELC confirmed that when they seized the wallets, Bitcoin was valued at $2,354. It's now well past the $16,000 mark. As well, found in the Bitcoin wallets of the main suspects was a total of 213,000 Bitcoin. As reference, the value of one Bitcoin. The offenders choose Bitcoin's way of investing / saving the money because it's rather difficult to be tracked and followed. According to National Debt Clock, Bulgarian's national debt is in the region of $16 billion. So they could take a big bite out of what they of that if they use their new Bitcoin fortune. Even governments now have Bitcoin fortunes, and this was no surprise. This was coming. When something's worth so much, the governments have their eye on it. When it has, when it takes power away from them, they want it to maintain and keep their power, right? Here's another article talking about it. Well, if they just held it, they could have a lot more. They could pay off their whole debt if they just held it. And this is why a lot of people are suggesting to people that are saying, hey, how do I pay off my student loan debt or my debt in crypto? Well, people are saying just pay the minimum so you don't get charged more interest, and pay it in about 5 years when that cryptocurrency is worth a lot more and the dollar has devalued a lot more. I'm seeing, that stuff in grocery stores is now twice as much as it was a couple years ago. So if you save that for a couple more years, you should be able to get twice as much for your value. Your dollar of your value of your dollar will be worth half as much, while your Bitcoin will be worth 5 to 10 times as much. So here's another story. Overstock, it's $100 million from Soros Fund for blockchain and more. So we were, covering Overstock investing in the blockchain aspect of their business, and George Soros just funded this. George Soros has been funding things from, protests, uprisings in countries, wars. He's funded Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, and then funded protests to Trump's inauguration to make it harder for the side that won. I guess he can't take a loss very easily, but even this old man is investing in blockchain technology, and he made a lot of money off of certain dollar crashes. He saw these dollar crashes coming way ahead of time and bet on them. And let's just see this story about the US government, and they have $10 million worth of Bitcoin. Steemit.com. You can find our Steemit handle down below, and you can even earn cryptocurrency, Steem and Steam-backed dollars, to write articles, to post. If you see here, this article made 12 cents, not a lot, but if you write a very good article and get followers, you can make a lot of money on here. There's people that have made millions of dollars on here from posting every day. Anything like that takes consistency as well. The U.S. government plans to sell the Bitcoin of seized Bitcoin during opium poppy case, which currently stands at $10 million. Following the recent rise in prices, where the Attorney General Office of Utah is now working quickly to sell 513 Bitcoin, and it was also 512 Bitcoin Cash that they seized. Interesting how it's about the same amount of each. This is about, what a lot of investors do. They hold this, well, actually anyone that was holding this much Bitcoin would automatically have the same amount in Bitcoin Cash. So that's probably what happened there. But a lot of people are holding the same amount of Bitcoin as Bitcoin Cash, just in case one fails, the other one will succeed, which is worth about $8.7 million at current prices. An equal number of Bitcoin Cash, which will also be sold. So basically they have $9 million worth of Bitcoin and $1 million worth of Bitcoin Cash. Again, they've done this before. They want to auction it off. They're in a hurry to auction it off. They think the price is too volatile to hold it. Very interesting. I'm not going to be selling my crypto though. I'm going to be holding on to it. I have been selling it here and there when people in my personal life want Bitcoin. So I usually sell it to them because it's a lot harder for them to learn how to buy it themselves. So I have got some money to buy more Bitcoin, but I won't be selling any unless it's to somebody I know personally, and I can see that Bitcoin, help out someone else. So if I don't see the Bitcoin bring wealth, I don't want to get rid of it, because it's going to bring someone wealth. Why not it bring me wealth, or someone I know closely wealth? And those are the only two cases I really sell it right now. And I think, to be honest, Bitcoin is going to go to $30,000. I've been saying this for a while, even since December. The next run it has, since after this $20,000 run, we were expecting a correction. This is no surprise. But after this correction, it's due to go to 30,000, and this is just following the trend, following the price trend that always happens. Now there are other variables that affect this trend and maybe throw off the trend, but futures trading is one of them. But for the most part, I believe Bitcoin's going to $30,000 by the end of January to the middle of February. There's not one doubt in my mind, unless something unexpected happens, like regulations, a big exchange hack, something like that. But even exchanges, there's so many of them now that it's hard for one exchange to affect the price, or one big, even one government to regulate it, as we saw with China. Didn't really affect the price that much, and it's still recovered. So 30,000, here we come.
Reading fortune, I just got the news. I can be a millionaire too. Check the OP, what did he do? Gas in his bag still to go to the moon. Spent half an ETH, I got a million coins like the real McCoy. You know I feel that joy, cause if it goes to a buck, I won't believe my luck. And now 10 on my Lambos for me and my friends. Butterfly doors, but I'm already in dock. Trump is like whip from a squad on the block. Chanting with a hold alive. Chat rooms, we scroll at night. Bitcoin Ether, been told twice. Never hold my ish like it's mold divide. Going to the stars, cause it's only right. Read the white paper or sold that side. Now I steal my shit coins, cause I'm overhyped. We can't take the pressure. Cashing out for you was tether. My craft ship shape. Ashy sails through stormy weather.